rap battles of history.
Now, before we get started, let's talk about why I'm even putting myself through this. My goal is to journey back through a piece of YouTube history and analyze it from a modern perspective, as well as figure out, after all these years, the answer to a question I've had for now literally over a decade: who actually won these battles? And so, while I know there's an official HD remaster of the whole first season of ERB, it would have felt wrong not to use the original low-quality cuts. Back in 2010, 480p was the best we had, and the costuming budget matched. It was probably about $20 at the Goodwill. Macklemore hadn't even come out to teach us to say thrift shop yet. All they would have needed was to buy some thread for stitching the tassels on Lennon's jacket, and then, well, they had to get whatever they put on Lloyd's head and called hair. All that is filtered through some basic Photoshop effects and some free beats, and then just posted up on YouTube. Sure, it's basic, and micro-budget would be overselling it, but that was the charm of early YouTube. It's not some lavish, big corporate production, at least not yet. Just a goofy little side project by two aspiring improv comics, Peter Shukoff and Lloyd Alquist. Looking at Season 1 of Epic Rap Battles is really going to be a trip down the pop culture memory lane, back to a simpler time. And yes, I said Epic Rap Battles, because there was no ERB. That wasn't until Season 2. Season 1 debuted on the Nice Peter YouTube channel, adding to that very authentic and uncommercial feel to the whole thing. Now, let's see about the actual battle.
John Lennon versus Bill O'Reilly. Begin!
Not awarding anything yet, but I wanted to point out that the way they opened this track and how they introduced the whole concept of a historical rap battle is by replicating, on a budget of course, a Beatles-style 3-part vocal harmony with the word help, which is of course the title of a famous Lennon-penned Beatles song. And even if it feels insignificant, it's all these little touches and details like that which help to make these videos so endearing and rewatchable, and you feel the care put into the series when you notice things like that.
You're making my ears bleed, you need a muzzle. Why you pissed off all the time? Didn't your mom give you a cuddle?
Okay, listen. I really don't want to start the first diss of the first ever rap battle with negative numbers. But for real, when's the last time you heard a rapper diss another rapper with "Yo mama never cuddled you"? You didn't hear that. It didn't happen. Because it's a bad diss. So it's a negative point.
You're the type of guy who could die of a heart attack just in the shower. You need to chill out for a minute and smoke weed for an hour.
So I guess the shower thing is because O'Reilly yells so much and seems stressed. So it's bad for the old cardiovasculars. But at least the weed suggestion makes sense with Lennon's character, so I guess we'll go a neutral score, no points. I don't know, man.
Every time I watch your show, all you do is scream at me, and your face looks like I took high on LSD.
Listen, I'm just as baffled by that line as John Lennon probably was when he took that dump. I'm on the fence about losing a point or not, but for the pun, this line is flushed down the drain, -1.
I'm John Lennon, I'm a legend, I can see through all your tricks. I wonder how much George Bush paid you to suck his...
No, but really. In the 2000s, Fox News, and Bill O'Reilly among them, were heavily supportive of the Bush administration. So coming from 2010, the height of the Great Recession, which was definitely at least partially caused by Bush's policies, this diss hits good. Not amazing, but at least worthy of the first positive point in the series. Hooray.
Long hair.
Long hair does not have enough bite to get a score on this one.
Living in your yellow submarine, we're about to get sunk by the right-wing political machine. Stop your presses, Lennon. You call me Mr. Bill O'Reilly.
The main thing here is it felt like "Call Me Mr. Bill O'Reilly" was some sort of reference to something in real life. But from what I can tell, it's just a weird request that Mr. Bill O'Reilly has demanded of Sir John Lennon.
When it comes to squash and limeys, I can recommend it highly.
And then, of course, squash and limeys, my favorite outdoor hobby as well. I'm not docking a point, but really, these are some limp raps.
You're weak. Between you and me, there's no comparison. I'll beat you so bad you weep gently like George Harrison.
I mean, it's not amazing. But there's some character-related wordplay, a mild diss, and a brag about how good he is. I mean, better disses and introductions will come, but this is still decent enough for a point.
You're Paul McCartney's with his talent than Ringo, and I'd rather suck George Bush's than Yoko Ono.
Okay, honestly, that's a solid one. And it's a rebuttal to John's verse closer, so that gives it more weight. Honestly, screw it. First three-pointer of the show.
Well, you can't buy me love, but I'll kick your ass for free. I'll take Maxwell's silver hammer and give you a lobotomy.
Woof. Okay, first off, both Can't Buy Me Love and Maxwell's Silver Hammer are pretty much exclusively Paul McCartney songs. Like, I don't want to go too Beatles fan on this, but out of all of their songs, these are like the two least John Lennon possible. So, yeah, neither of these really work in this context. And yes, I know the Beatles songs are all co-credited, but listen, everyone agrees these are basically solo Paul compositions. Second, the line just isn't nuanced and thought out enough to be funny. It's really just a victim of being in the first battle ever, but still, it's a pretty bad set of bars, and I'm taking a point off.
I'm tired of how you scheme to stir the people up. Why don't you just take a vacation and shut the up?
That line needed a couple words taken out or something because the rhyme meter was all messed up. More importantly, John/Nice Peter literally said nothing with these four measures, which is just unfortunate. But you can't really remove points for nothing, so we'll move on.
Cause I'm evil, hard black and then Don Cheadle. $10,000 shoes I used to stomp out a Beatles.
I don't care about the shoes, but can we go back to Don Cheadle's skin color being a barometer for how much darkness is in someone's heart? Can the Don Cheadle meter be featured in the next Kingdom Hearts game? Can we fight Bill O'Reilly's Heartless? It's so dumb. I don't think it makes enough sense to earn a point, but it's too entertaining to be a negative, so another neutral, I suppose.
Don't tell me to shut the up, that's how I survive. Now here's Sting, what? We'll do it live!
So that last part is a reference to an outtake from some time in the early 90s from Bill O'Reilly's show. I guess it was either in 1991 or 1993, because that's when Sting had new albums released to feature. I'll guess 93 because 10 Summoner's Tales apparently was a bigger seller than the Soul Cages, although they both charted about the same, so it's still up in the air and I don't really care to dig deeper. Anyway, this O'Reilly moment somehow ended up posted on the internet in 2008, and it became an early meme and viral video, back when that stuff was really novel to the mainstream media. So in 2010, it would have been a relevant reference. All this backstory and research is to say that making a dated meme reference that mentions Sting in a secondhand way is not worth a point.
Who won?
Honestly, I'm not surprised by how low the scores are, although having it go into negatives is pretty funny. What I am surprised by is how big of a disparity there is. I think back in the day, kid me liked John Lennon and disliked Bill O'Reilly to the point I just kinda automatically wanted John to be the winner. But really, Lloyd's raps in this whole thing are definitely a step above Peter's. Even still, these are low scores and not great raps, and even back in the day, this battle was never really that good. It's literally the poster child for saying, we've gotta start somewhere. The sets, the costumes, the props, the effects, they're all basic, and the raps even more so. And yeah, I could have gone easy on it since the only value it has is really being the first one. But I didn't want to do that. We're judging each rap on its own merits, and it'll be fun to have a baseline to properly judge how far along the series comes. And when you think about it, this one, John Lennon vs. Bill O'Reilly, is kind of the pilot episode of epic rap battles. So I can't wait for the next one, the real first episode, featuring a tiny bald man with bad facial hair and the ultimate BBC. And we'll get to see where, in many ways, the series actually kicks off. Thank you for tuning in, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.